before the hit. What a catch! He's got the first and more! Todd Gurley all the way!
What is true greatness? Who is the one player who carried you, the player in your lineup who was a guarantee no matter the matchup? Today we're settling the debate, and who peaked when it mattered the most.
That kid's amazing! There is no way! Puts it in! Next by one!
What's going on, everyone? My name is George, one half of the fastest rising podcast today, Valley Sports Pod. And this is our new series, Top 5, where we dive deep into the history of sports. Today, we're opening the vault of some of the greatest performances that made men across America smile. This is the Top 5 fantasy football playoff runs since 2015. And before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Comment down below what you want to see next on our Top 5 series.
Did you lose?
You shut your mouth! Every year I set this league up. Every year, and I
Number
never
5.
win. This was the year!
Kicking off our top 5, at number 5, we have Travis Kelce 2020, the man he defined positional advantage. Kelce's 2020 season was statistically one of the greatest ever for a tight end. He became the first tight end to surpass 1,400 receiving yards in a season, but it was his production in the fantasy playoffs that turned a great season into a championship ticket. Kicking off the playoffs in round 1 of the Week 14 2020 season, Kelce and the Chiefs traveled to Miami and shredded the Dolphins for 8 catches, 136 yards, and 1 touchdown to kick off round 1 with 27.9 fantasy points. In round 2, Week 15, Kelce kept it rolling, traveling to New Orleans with another 8 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown, another wholly helpful 20.8 fantasy points from the tight end position. And finally, in Week 16, Championship Week, the Chiefs went back home against the Atlanta Falcons in a low-scoring 17-14 game. Kelce finished off his all-time run for tight ends with a nice 7 catches for 98 yards and 1 touchdown, handing fantasy managers another 23.8 points. When the pressure was on, Kelce stepped up his game, essentially giving his fantasy owners a 20-point head start every week at the tight end spot, where if you took Darren Waller out of the equation, who was the number 2 fantasy tight end, Travis Kelce had almost 150 more points than the 3rd overall tight end at that time, Logan Thomas. While Kelce's grand total over those 3 weeks isn't as impressive as the rest to come, he was an auto 20 at a position at the time you barely got 8 from, an all-time positional advantage in fantasy football. Travis Kelce was undeniable in the 2020 season. I had him, and he helped me win a championship. That man was unbelievable. A free 20 points from a position at the time where you could barely get 8 from someone. The second best tight end that year was Darren Waller with 270, and after that was Logan Thomas with 170. And Travis Kelce that year finished with 320 fantasy points. My goodness.
Did you lose?
You shut your mouth! Every year
Number
I set
4.
this league up. Every year, and I never win. This was the year!
Coming in at number 4, we have the gold standard of wide receiver volume and consistency. Michael Thomas in 2019 had one of the greatest fantasy seasons in history. A middle first-round pick who more than overpaid his price points, Thomas was the epitome of consistency. A guaranteed 18-plus points per game, he was a league winner from the start, but his playoff run in fantasy football was the final devastating blow. Nobody could fade him. Wait, stop. Before you keep going, George. Past George, what are you doing in my studio? Yes, it's me, Past George from 2019. Just wanted to let you know, did you tell them that Michael Thomas should be on this list? Yes, he's obviously on the list. Do we look like non-ball knowers? Oh. Well, I wanted to let them know that you had him, and you traded for Tyreek Hill. In a trade, you outweighted Timmy, and he got injured, and you missed the playoffs because of it. And it wasn't fair because you didn't get to reap the benefits of... All right, I'm just going to stop you right there. I've had enough. I already complained too much. I don't want to hear myself complain. So go back to 2019, all right? Enjoy 2020 and 2021. Goodbye. Okay. Sorry. Sorry about that, folks. Let's see that playoff run. Week 14 in round 1 of the fantasy football playoffs at home in a shootout against the Jimmy G-led 49ers. Thomas had the usual 11 catches, 134 yards, and added on a touchdown for 30.4 fantasy points to start the playoffs. Round 2 was more of the same. Thomas was unguardable. Home against the Colts, he went for 12 catches, 128 yards, and a touchdown, 30.8 fantasy points. And to finish off his insane 2019 record-breaking season, in the game he broke Marvin Harrison's catch record, Michael Thomas's championship week caught 12 balls for 136 yards and a touchdown, finishing off with the epitome of consistency in the playoffs to the tune of 31.6 fantasy points. Over those 3 weeks, Thomas averaged 30 points per game, giving managers exactly what they needed to go on a run. His 2019 playoff run was the most dominant stretch by a wide receiver in the modern era, providing an unbeatable floor and ceiling when it mattered most. Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for more. You're getting 30 per game from a wide receiver one, and that's an insane head start. If you knew going into every single game that year in 2019, you were getting an auto 30 from your receiver, it's tough to beat. It's insane to think about, and one of the more where are they now receivers. He fell off with injuries, and I was a big fan of his. I got his jersey at the stadium, and Michael Thomas was a crazy good receiver that got a lot of slack for being called slant boy, but people who know ball knew he was better than what people said.
Did you lose? You shut your mouth! Every year I set this league up. Every year.
Number 3.
I never win. This was the year.
Coming in at number 3, we have a run that fueled an entire city and fantasy championships across the globe. Stefon Diggs in 2020 arrived in Buffalo, fundamentally changing Josh Allen and the entire Bills offense. He was the final piece of the puzzle. While he was excellent all year, his volume and scoring exploded precisely when the fantasy playoffs began. After a full season of building chemistry, Diggs put on a 3-week masterpiece. Starting off at home on Sunday Night Football, Week 14 against the Steelers, went 10 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown for 29.1 fantasy points to start off the playoffs. In Denver, the next week on Saturday evening, Week 15, before PS2 was ever a thing, Diggs ripped through the heart of the Broncos defense to the total of 11 catches for 147 yards for 25.7 fantasy points. And in Week 16, in New England on Monday Night Football, Diggs saved the best for last. His best numbers of the season, a staggering 9 catches for 145 yards and 3 touchdowns, 41.5 fantasy points, capping off an insane run. Averaging over 30 points per game in the crucial final 2 rounds and delivering a 40-burger in the title game, Diggs' run was the epitome of a player peaking in December. The sheer combination of elite volume and late-season scoring makes the 2020 Stefon Diggs run a top contender for one of the best we've ever seen. Yeah, this one was pretty easy to put on the list. I mean, Stefon Diggs coming into Buffalo that year was a 6th, 7th round pick. He was never like the type of guy you'd take in the early 2nd round that he became when he became a Bill. And people didn't know what Josh Allen was. This was before Allen broke out. He was still going in like the 8th, 9th round. I remember I got Allen that year in the 8th round. And this was before he was ever even close to being an MVP candidate. Stefon Diggs came in, and it was making lemonade with lemons. It was beautiful. Stefon Diggs became a high-end wide receiver 1 from a low-end wide receiver 2. And in the playoffs, he carried people across the globe to fantasy nirvana.
Did you lose? You shut your mouth! Every year I set this league up.
Number
every
2.
Year, and I never win. This was the year!
Rounding out our top 5 at the number 2 spot, Christian McCaffrey's 2019 season was already historically good, but his playoff run was the ultimate closer. While the Panthers' real-life season was collapsing, McCaffrey's fantasy value only climbed higher as became the entire offense. His value came from an untouchable floor in PPR leagues, turning him into a guaranteed 25-plus points every single week. Starting things off in Week 14 of Round 1 of the fantasy playoffs, the Panthers traveled to Atlanta. CMC was kept out of the end zone, but not off fantasy manager score sheets. He finished the day with 11 carries for 53 yards and 11 catches for 82 yards and finished with 24.5 fantasy points, starting off nicely for all people who had him. Week 15, the semifinals across America, CMC led the way at home against the Seattle Seahawks. He finished with a staggering 19 carries for 87 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 8 catches for 88 yards with a matchup-winning 37.5 fantasy football points. And championship week, CMC did not slow down. Week 16, he was held out of the end zone, but he showed his undeniable floor for fantasy managers and finished with 13 carries, 54 yards, and an insane 15 catches for 119 yards for an amazing 32.3 fantasy points, ending his all-time fantasy season in 2019 with a ridiculous 471 fantasy points, the highest margin post-2010, and has not nearly been topped since. Averaging over 34 PPR points per game across the 3 key weeks, CMC's 2019 playoff run was a display of consistent, overwhelming, and unparalleled dominance. If you had CMC, you had a ticket straight to the title. Yeah, there's not much to say. CMC in 2019 was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, 471 fantasy points is just an insane stat line. Like 28 points per game, and to top it off in the playoffs, outside of round one where he still got 25. He didn't even find the end zone in 2 of the 3 games, and he was still getting 30 points per game. 15 catches for a running back is insanity. He had a wide receiver stat line, 15 catches for 119 yards. Insane. And he's doing it again this year. He's not as efficient running. He's most likely to have 1,000 again, just like he did in 2019, and be the first player to do it twice. An insane career by Christian McCaffrey. And before we get to our number 1 spot, make sure you subscribe, like, and follow. Check us out on TikTok. Help us get to 1,000 on TikTok. We're almost there. Help us get to 500 subs by 2026. Comment down below what you want to see in our next top 5 series. Stay tuned.
Did you lose? You shut your mouth! Every year I set this league up.
Number 1.
Every year, and I never win. This was the year!
Finally, to top off episode 2 of our top 5 series, coming in at number 1, bursting onto the scene in 2015, and almost scoring 200 fantasy points in only 13 games, Todd Gurley was a hot commodity going into the 2016 season, but disappointed a lot of fantasy players who grabbed him in the first round. In a horrific offense led by mid Jeff Fisher, 2017 he looked for redemption, which he got. Sean McVay joined the Los Angeles Rams and revitalized his offense. 2017, he gave us the greatest fantasy football playoff run we've seen in the last 10 years. The gold standard for winning championships. Gurley had been good in the regular season, but the Rams unlocked a new dimension of dominance. He became the most complete fantasy back in the league, dominating both on the ground and through the air. This run was built on almost an unbelievable touchdown pace and volume. Starting off Week 14, home against Philly, Gurley would begin his unreal run with an excellent 13 carries for 96 yards, 2 touchdowns, and add another 3 catches for 39 yards, starting off managers with 28.5 fantasy points. A nice line. And you're probably thinking right now, George, this has to get better. Oh, my friend, we're just getting started. Round 2, Week 15, the Rams traveled to Seattle, and on that Sunday at 4:05, most fantasy teams were ripped to shreds by the man Todd Gurley for an unreal 21 carries for 152 yards, 3 touchdowns, adding 3 catches for 28 yards, and another touchdown for a week-winning 45 even fantasy points. Finally, in the championship week, to win matchups across America, at 1 o'clock, Todd Gurley traveled to Tennessee to rip through the Titans' middling defense for a beautiful 22 carries, 118 yards, 10 catches, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, including an 80-yard catch and run to finish his insane 2017 breakout All-Pro season with 49.6 fantasy points. Those 3 critical weeks, Todd Gurley averaged an unprecedented 39.9 PPR points per game and scored 8 total touchdowns, delivered 2 straight championship performances, 45 and over. He was the ultimate combination of floor and ceiling, consistency and explosion. The 2017 Todd Gurley run is, without a doubt, the greatest fantasy football playoff run that we've seen in the last 10 years and might ever see. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend of Todd Gurley, one of the better running backs we got to see whose career was cut short by arthritis. Todd Gurley, we miss you. And he's still top in touchdowns since 2015. That's how good he's been. He was that good. He was that dude. From 2015 to 2018, he was unbelievable. And if you weren't there to see it, I got the highlights here, but just go online, look up Todd Gurley, and I will forever be grateful for Todd Gurley bringing me my first title since 2012. I had a 5-year lapse. So Todd Gurley, man, forever thankful. So that's episode 2, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, for all the support in episode 1. Episode 20 of Valley Sports Pod will be out this weekend. And next week, we're debuting Timmy's new series, Sports Biographies. You don't want to miss this one. It's a fun one where he's going to dive deep into different time periods of different sports and go over certain career aspects of different players, coaches, owners, all that fun stuff. And next week will be episode 3 of Top 5. Comment down below what you want to see next. This is George from Valley Sports Pod, 189 Dive. That's a wrap. Take care and God bless.